All right. Hello, this is Wmpyr. Yesterday, I uploaded a video for you guys where I was talking about the knife in the so-called reverse grip, aka ice pick grip. So it's what you're seeing right here from the film Cobra. That is one heck of a scary beast-looking knife. Really cool movie, by the way. Really cool movie. Man, it would be nice to see the Rambo knife go up against this knife. But anyway, did they do that in the one of the Expendables film? I don't know. I never got into the Expendables. I like the concept of it. I thought the concept was to, get a bunch of these has-been action stars and reunite them and, go for one last ride kind of thing is what I thought the concept was. And I think that's wrong. That's not what it is. And of course, the word expendable, I mean, that comes from Rambo 2. And that was a very significant word in that film. Anyway, I'm going off track here, so let me go back to the knife in the reverse grip. So the topic is the knife in the reverse grip versus the knife in the standard grip. And the same kind of way of thinking is slashing versus stabbing. And people, I don't know, for some reason they like to argue about this kind of thing. And then to me this is no different than thinking about style versus style. Kung fu versus karate, judo versus Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai kickboxing versus wrestling. It's style versus style way of thinking. And I don't come from that type of thinking anymore. As a kid or in my younger days, you just couldn't help think that way. But as I got older, I moved away from that way of thinking. And for many years now, I've been telling you guys that is a dinosaur way of thinking, that should be extinct. Um, so for someone that cross trains, for me, it's a no-brainer that there is no one best style. They're just a bunch of tools, and it's about using the tools well. So it really comes down to the individual that can use the tools well. That's what it comes down to. Um, yeah, and the style versus style, or the slashing versus stabbing, or reverse grip versus standard grip mentality to me is, um, yeah, kind of like you're limiting yourself. At the end of the day, I see it as it's just preference, people. So people are looking for justification to make their preference um, justifiable. Like they need more. They need to hear more than this is just my preference. They need to hear something like, no, reverse grip is the better grip. It is superior. They need to hear that. They need that kind of affirmation. And it's like, no, you don't. Be secure with yourself and say, no, this is just my preference. I like it. At the end of the day, I saw it from a movie like this, or, someone had told me, some streetwise punk ass kid told me that reverse grip is the way to go, and that just stuck with me ever since, or, something like that, just admit it. It's a preference, okay? When you do so, you'll feel much better instead of looking for these justifications that no, stabbing, at the end of the day, stabbing is more logical. It is the better way to do, it's fact that it is a higher percentage. It's like, dude, get over it, is what I think. um, I said to you guys that in Filipino martial arts we do both. So we do Filipino martial arts is it's almost like I've never been over there, but it is an island country. So when you look at a lot of island countries, Jamaica, I know Hawaii is not a country, but you look at Hawaii, you think of them as very laid back. In some ways, to me, the Filipino culture is very, very laid back. And that seeps into their FMA, Filipino martial arts, where you know what do you guys do? Slashes or stabs? Which one's better? And they go, we do both. You know how do you use the Heaven Six exactly? Well, it's a Swiss Army knife. There's multiple ways. They're very laid back about things like that. And I like that. Now some aren't. And unfortunately, I also see a lot of Filipino pride coming in, and to me, the pride is toxic. Maybe it's necessary, because they need to establish their country more, like compared to other countries. It's fallen behind. So then you need country pride, like Japan after they lost in World War II. They needed the country pride, but what, I don't know. Was it really country pride? I don't know, because I wasn't there at that time, where they made that transition to, by the time it became the 80s. So in the 40s, they lost the war. By the time it became the 80s, right? They freaking, so like 40 years later, like I remember, think of the movies in the US, the Japanese corporate were known for being like super hard asses, right? And being one of the most successful in the world. What was that Michael Keaton movie that he did in the 80s? Where I think he worked in a Detroit car company, and the Japanese corporations, I don't know if they were up against it, or they were working for them, or what, or they had to negotiate with them. But yeah, they had a reputation. So, maybe the Filipinos kind of want to go through that, to elevate their country more. So maybe that's why the Filipino pride. But pride is one of the seven sins, people. So when people are saying USA made and stuff, it's, I mean, I consider myself definitely like half US, because I've been here for so long, and half Japanese. It's just both of those cannot be removed from me. At my, I feel like it's in my DNA. I am half Japanese, half USA. Half American. Um, that's the way I am, bicultural identity. But yeah, it just, the pride is just something that I've never felt good about hearing that kind of stuff. Whether people in Japan are saying it, or whether people in the US are saying it. Either way, I've never liked it. I've felt that it's kind of insulting to other countries, other races, and I've never liked like that kind of pride. I think pride can be used positively, and it can be used negatively, and you know it's one of those, like a knife, you have to be very careful with. It's a double-edged sword, kind of thing. So you have to be careful with how you do it, because it can hurt people's feelings, and that is important. I'm not saying be politically correct all the time. No, I don't believe in that. But, I do believe in being considerate, mindful, kind, generous. I do believe in that kind of code. Um, because that to me comes from someone that's secure, someone that's strong, in order to be that way. So that definitely is part of the martial code for me. But anyway, let's go back to the reverse grip versus the standard grip. I want to go into some more detail, technical detail, right? So you know, and some of you in your comments have talked about knife sparring, and I know you've done that. So knife sparring is very reflective of basically knife fighting, and it is different from a surprise attack, right? So I know Filipino martial arts people got criticized big time um, a, li- a little while ago, or it's actually probably decades ago. These, okay, so back in 2000, I don't even remember. Was it early 2000 or was it like 2006, around that time? I don't even remember. Or was it more like 2001 or 2002? I don't remember. But around that time, I was at the Austin. Okay, so if it was 2002, I was at the Austin Martial Arts Academy. 2006 is after I came back from Dallas. I paid them a visit just because that school was so amazing. I wanted to talk to them, and I was hoping I would get hired by them as an assistant instructor. But if not, I just had such a profound experience there, and I knew they were very kind. So I just wanted, to surround myself with good people. So I went there, and I remember one of the assistant instructors that I really looked up to. He said to me that knife fighting. So if we're talking about knives, this is probably 2006 because I think I mentioned to those guys that I was thinking about the knife, you know. And so he said knife fighting is stupid. He said that doesn't exist. Nobody uses the knife like that. Nobody attacks like that. And I understand what he's saying because he was saying that historically duels were allowed. Today, in today's world, there's no such thing as duels. And then on the battlefield, people don't fight with knives. That's not the main thing. We're firearms, and we use firearms, and it should be all taken care of with your assault rifle. There should be no knife fight in today's modern day battlefield. And I think a great interview with Jesse Ventura. They asked him like, "Would you have done MMA?" And I don't remember what he said, if he said yes or no, but he said, "Look, I'm being an ex-Navy SEAL. You know, if I'm ever in a situation where I need to do MMA type of stuff, something went really, really wrong. So yeah, that should tell you guys that that's not their main plan. You know." Um, um, so yeah, I get what he was saying. That in real life, the knife will be concealed and it will be a surprise attack. It's going to come out of nowhere, and the knife's suddenly going to pop out, kind of thing, right? So the thing is, if I don't see the knife and I'm taken completely by surprise, I'm going to die. There's no ways around that. I wish I could tell you there's a defense against that, but there isn't. It's done. It's almost like saying, it's worse than saying, "Go ahead, put me in a full-blown rear naked choke, put your hooks in, take my back, flatten me out, and then put the rear naked choke completely on, and then I'm going to get out of it." No. But with a knife, if it's a full-blown surprise attack, it's even harder, in my opinion, to get out of that. Um, Believe it or not, I remember training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu one time, and this guy who was he? He was a brown belt, or he definitely should have been a black belt. So he was a brown belt. Okay, I think he got promoted when I got promoted. So when I became blue, I think he became black. But anyway, this guy was a brown belt. If I remember correctly, he was like a brown belt like forever. It was, yeah, he was totally black belt level. Whatever that means, right? But anyway, he said to me, go ahead, put on the rear naked choke, and I took his back, and he didn't resist, and he was like, go ahead, go ahead, and I was like, really? All right. So I went for the rear naked choke, could not get it for the life of me, and I was like, this is pointless, and he was like, go ahead, get the choke, do it, do it. And I was like, this is pointless. I'm not gonna get it. The only way I could even try to get it is I would have to hit him. I would have to elbow him repeatedly in the back of the head. I'd have to punch him in the face. I'd have to strike in order to get this choke, because if I just tried to do it without strikes and I try to do it clean, so to speak, just like what's legal in grappling tournaments, there's no way I could get it. He was just way too big, way too strong, way too technical. Obviously he was like easily 10 times more technical than I was, and it's just impossible. You know. So with a knife, if someone surprise attacks you, I'm saying it's worse than that, right? So that's why BJJ can be a good measure. It gives you that kind of comparison. Um, But I'm telling you guys, in order to survive that, and yeah, I've been saying this for many years now, so I feel like starting not to hear this as much, where people say um, knife fights are bullcrap. I'm starting to hear less of that. Maybe it's my influence, maybe it's not, but if it is, I am grateful that some people listened. Um, yeah, I am grateful for that. That I could help society in that sense, and that's why I do this YouTube channel, not to get credit for it or anything like that. Is to help kind of like nudge things in the in a I don't want to say right direction, because that makes me sound righteous, in a because I don't have all the answers. So in what I think is a better direction. So people were saying that knife fights are stupid. Yes, I get that. Yes, knife fights do not exist anymore. I mean, there are rare cases you see people, they agree to doing knife fights, and I don't know if it was filmed in Spain or what, and it looked like two people had a problem with each other, so they went out to the streets and they decided to have a knife fight. They decided to settle it that way. I think, if I'm not mistaken, one of the people I've seen on videos like that, one of them was female. They're out on the streets, and I don't think it was the girls, but maybe the guys wrapped jackets around their free arm, and the other arm had a knife in the reverse grip, if I remember correctly, and it looked like a big old kitchen knife. But anyway, um, so there are very few cases of actual knife on knife fights like that, like dueling type. And yeah, they got bad blood, and they said, this is how we're gonna settle it. We're gonna settle it by fighting, which is crazy, but yeah, that's what some people did. There's actual videos on it on YouTube. You can look it up and see it. Um, However, for the most part, yeah, it doesn't go that way. So I get it. I agree. You really want to do someone in with a knife, you're going to hide it, and you're going to surprise attack them, right? In order to survive, in order to survive the surprise attack, you need to turn it into a knife fight. And I've been saying that for many years now, and I hope that has started to sunk in, which it really seems like it has, into the mind of society. And that was me defending Filipino martial arts, because in Filipino martial arts we do practice knife fighting. You know, when we are sparring, and with training knives, all kinds of training knives. So in some cases markers, and in some cases foam. Like the, what is it? The pool noodles, the foam ones. You can cut those into the length of a knife, and you can go at it with each other. And at the very least, it's an athletic exercise, a fun way to exercise, work on your cardio. Um, for me, I'd rather do something like that than play basketball. It's just my own personal preference. Yeah, way, way, way would rather do that with a bunch of people and have fun. I don't care if it's in a group setting, and I don't care if it's not realistic and you're dying like 100 times. I'd rather do that for my exercise than play basketball or soccer, or it's just me, folks. But I'd rather do that. Um, so the main thing there is, in order to survive, I keep saying that, in order to survive a surprise attack, you have to turn it into a knife fight. And let me go into more detail. So the guy has the knife hidden, and he's stalking me, and then he thinks he's got me cornered, and he pops out, and there's the knife. But I knew something was weird. I had sensed someone behind me or whatever. And so we're now in a tunnel, like under a bridge. So I'm imagining this specific location in New York City, where I'm not familiar with this place, but I know that I was told that there were knife muggings happening there. So right there by the underneath the bridge, the guy would just pop out and mug you. And he was armed with a knife, and I think in some case people got stabbed. I guess people didn't respond quick enough, or they didn't respond the way he wanted, or maybe he's just psychotic, and he was going to stab you anyway, he was going to cut you anyway. But anyway, so in that kind of scenario, you knew something was up. As you're going through the tunnel, you knew that this is a dangerous spot or whatever. So your guard's already up, right? So you need this kind of awareness. You need to be pre-ready, because if you're not, like I said, it's over. There's no way without awareness, without these kinds of preparations, pre-fight preparations. There's no way, right? You're just going to get surprise attacked and done. You are able to catch this guy coming at, trying to set you up, surprise attack you. So now, where are you? What is the situation? The context has changed. So now the context is, you're both facing each other. Or you're looking at the person. You see the knife, chances are, at that point. And so at that point, you're both squared off. That's a knife fight situation. Whether you have a knife or not, you are now in a knife fight situation. Hopefully you have a knife, or you have some kind of weapon, or you have some kind of shield. And if you don't have any of those things, well, I hope there's something in between you guys, like a telephone pole or a car or something. But either way, you're now facing this person face to face. You don't have to be super close. You just aware now, and you're facing off. You are squared with them. So at that point, you are in a fighting situation, a knife fight, because they have a knife. Okay, so you are in a knife fight. That's how you survive it. You have to change it into a knife. When I say you have to change it into a knife fight, people might actually think, oh, so you're exchanging, you're actually fighting. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, you are in the beginnings of that, where that can happen, where they're going to attack you, and you don't have to attack back, but you are in position to be able to attack back. I'm not saying that that's a good idea either, but I'm just saying they are in your reach now too. Okay, So you are in both of each other's reaches, or that's not far away. It only takes one or two steps and you're there where you could be exchanging. Okay. Um, right there. Hopefully you're moving away out into long range, but once again, you are squared off with this person. And if you can run at this point, you should be running. But if not, you are caught in a knife fight. All right. But that's what I mean. Okay. Not the literal, okay, he's swinging, he's slashing at me, I'm ducking, I'm throwing a punch at him. That's not what I mean by knife fight. Okay. What I mean is the squared off part and the distance part. Okay. So at this point, you know, you're caught with this guy in this knife fight situation. At least you survived the surprise attack. Okay. So from there, knife fighting skills are going to be beneficial, obviously, because that's what's coming at you, you know. And if you've never had that kind of training, then you're a fish out of water and good luck. So knife fighting is beneficial in the streets. So the Filipinos had it right. That was my whole message, was that knife fighting is not stupid. And once again, I get why people say that. But if you think more, no, the Filipinos knew exactly what they were talking about. And so that's why it's in the training. We train knife fighting. All right. Now, that being said, I'm not very good at it. And I don't think you need to be. I mean, the better you are, of course, that's the better. I mean, if you could become world champion at it, go for it, you know. But is that necessary to survive on the streets? Do you need to be that good? No, it's not. It's not. That's like saying, in order to survive the streets, I need to be UFC champion. I need to be an MMA champion at this local MMA event. No, it's not necessary. You don't need to pursue that. It's different. It is a different situation. So, in order to become world champion, you have to have amazing attacks. To survive the streets, you don't need amazing attacks. You may never ever even be in a situation to attack the person. And if you are attacking the person, chances are you are opening yourself up for a counterattack, and therefore you're going to be in an exchange. Why risk that? You don't need to. If you want to be world champion in a competitive sport, you need to risk that. You need to, because those sports are designed to where the aggressor wins. You cannot become world champion strictly by being defensive. The sport is rigged that way. They don't allow it. The judges don't score that way. The referee will stop and stand you guys over, reset the fight, restart the fight. It's not designed for that, you know. The aggressor is advantageous in a sporting event. In a street situation, nobody cares. None of that matters. You could be ultra aggressive. Okay, that doesn't mean that you are going to come out on top. No, because in the street it's survival, you know. So it has nothing to do with knocking out your opponent or impressing the judges, you know. No, if anything, you don't want incriminating evidence, if anything. but I'm just saying from an abstract point of view. I'm not even including the law or anything like that, because once you start including that, it'll actually probably favor you not to attack. But just from an abstract point of view, does attacking favor you on the street? No, it doesn't. Like I said, it will open it will open up the chance for a counterattack, because every time you attack, you are also vulnerable. Um, The only, I mean, and now I know people can say like, well, what if you are dominating the person and you just keep dominating and yeah, so you're talking about like you're assaulting the person and you've gained the upper hand, and if you just keep attacking the person, um, if you let up or if you stop or you think about defense or whatever, would that put you in a disadvantage? Yeah, yeah, but now we're getting into very specific type of things, um, because we could say that the same thing with defense. Like, let's say you've neutralized the person, you're controlling the person, and now you go, you know what, I want to attack. Well, at that point, that could mess you up. It's why not just keep controlling the person. You know. So um, anyway, the street is different from sport, but I'm always quick to say that there's also plenty of similarities. But so you have to see both. What are the similarities? What are the differences? So the differences here is that in sport, the aggressor is 100% necessary. It's necessary to be aggressive. Offense is 100% needed in sport. In street, not so much. Not so much. Survival is the most important thing, right? Not how good your offense is. So the next thing I want to go into is, now I've explained to you guys that knife fighting skills are necessary, right? But in terms of, I focus more on defense because I just said right now that offense is, do I need to be able to attack this person to the point where they're defending and I could set them up and overcome their defense? That kind of advanced attacking. Do I need to be able to counter their attacks and stuff like that? A lot of that to me is unnecessary. So I know in Filipino martial arts, defang the snake is one of our premier, I would call it a principle. It's not even a concept. It is a tactic, it is a strategy, but I could go above that and say this is a principle that we have. It's that important, right? But defang the snake to me is highly misunderstood, and people think that it's all about the offense. And I'm here to say, no way, it's not. It is not about the offense. And this is another thing I've been trying to help people out. And, people don't have to listen. Those that get it will get it, and those that don't will not get it. And I'm not here to convince people. I'm here to help guide. So, yeah, if you think that defang the snake, the most important thing about defanging the snake is to destroy their arm, then yeah, good luck with that. Okay, I know that's what they teach you. That was taught to me too, but a deeper level of study has revealed to me, and it would do the same for anybody. So I'm not a special case. Okay, all you got to do is study it. Defense comes first for defang the snake. If you don't have the defense, you shouldn't be. So the person attacks you and you go, I'm going to defang the snake. That is not the way to use it. The person attacks you, you're defending. You're defending. You're surviving. You're defending. And through that, you're able to time it. Timing is important for a counter. And so when you're able to time it, you go, now's the time. I got it. And then you defang the snake. So what I'm trying to say is defang the snake is a super special move. It's a secret move. It's a special move. Everybody knows it now. Everybody does it like nothing, and that is not the way to use it. That is not the way to use it. You have to treat it like it is this super secret, family secret move, and you're going to save it for that very special occasion. You're not going to use it right away. You're not going to reveal your cards like that. No, you set them up. That's how you use Defang the Snake. Because if not, every time you use it, you're putting yourself in jeopardy, in all kinds of jeopardy. And people mirror. So you hit them on the hand, they're gonna go for the same thing to you. You know. Now hopefully you land it. You hit them on the hand, and now they can try to copy you, but they're already bleeding. Hopefully, right? But if that's not the case, you know, you've just given away your tactic. Now they're going to do the same thing to you. People tend to mirror. So, you know, and then, so if that happens, hopefully you have a game plan where if they're going to copy you, you know, that you're already like 2 steps ahead, hopefully. Because now they're predictable, you know. Before it's like, are they going for my head? Are they going for my neck? Are they going for my torso? Are they going for my leg? But now you went for their hand and they're like, this bastard, that was a good one. Okay, I'm going to get them back the same way. You know, people, you punch them, they want to punch you back. You know, you slap them, they want to slap you back, right? So you went for their hand, they want to go for your hand. Now they're more predictable. You know, so you might be able to use it like that. But either way, you got to set it up. It's not something you just go, oh, I automatically have a better chance by going for their arm. So now I just go for their arm. No, it's not that easy, is what I've been trying to say to you guys. It's Defang the Snake stands on top of a foundation. The foundation is what? Defense. And what is that defense? I call it, for me, it's force to force block. And actually, if you do Kia, Kali, Escrima, Arnis, it is force block for you too. Because everybody that I see doing Kia, most of your stuff is force to force block. It's not called that. And for me too, back when I was learning it back in the day at a dojo, the force to force block was a very, very specific technique. But think of the definition of force. Obviously, it's in the name. You're going force to force, right? So when the attack is coming, you're meeting that force, right? In fact, that's what a block is, right? And that's why a block is not good, because, you know, you're just taking it head on. And that's why a parry would be better, an evasion would be better, you know, redirection would be better. All those other things are better, but try it. Try it. It's a lot harder. That's all you got to do is try it. Try those things in your stick fighting, in your knife fighting training. Try it, and you'll see it is much, much harder to do. The force-to-force block is much easier. So that's why the force-to-force block is my foundation, and that is my defensive foundation. And then from there, I have Defang the Snake. But like I said, the proper way to use it in a real life situation is you don't reveal it that quickly, that easily. It is a sacred, special move. Okay. So I hope that makes sense as far as Defang the Snake goes. I've said it to you guys many times. They're going for my head. Most people are head hunters. This dude on the street has a knife. I have a knife. I was able to take out my knife. They're going for my head, and I go for their arm. Who has the advantage? It's that simple. It don't make sense. So the only way that Defang the Snake makes sense is if I am in a safer position, and then I go for their arm, because that is less committed. So I don't have to give up my safe position. They do, because they're going for my head. In order to hit my head, they have to make myself vulnerable to also being hit, like in the head or neck or torso or thigh, right? Because they're that close in order to hit my head. So they are making themselves ultra vulnerable. For me to go for their arm at that point, it's yes, I am vulnerable, but not as much as them. I don't have to be as committed because the target is much closer to me. I'm not going for one of the primary targets. I'm going for a secondary target. So that's why if I go full force trying to destroy their arm, so I'm really stepping in and I'm really going with power and I'm trying to hit them on the arm, then I'm going to be at a disadvantage. So the destruction of the arm is not the main goal. If it was, then yeah, you're trying to destroy the arm with everything you got. And I'm telling you that is a mistake. That is not the main thing. It's defense. It's about being in a safe place and making an attack that is a safer attack. That is what defang the snake is. Okay, it is, if you understand guerrilla warfare tactics, this is a hit and run. That's what this is. It's not a full-blown head-to-head attack where you're trying to do a lot of damage. No, this is a quick flash attack and you're gone before they know what the hell happened. That's what this is. So it's a minimum attack, very minimal, small, secondary attack, but it adds up. It's like a jab in boxing. So you guys that are thinking that you're going to cut the arm big time and they drop the weapon and because you cut their tendons and this kind of stuff, that is, you're talking about a different animal at that point. Okay, I'm not saying that that's wrong because I know Professor Bram Frank talks about biomechanical shutdown, but that is a completely different situation from what I'm talking about here, because I'm talking about in a knife fight situation. And I know Professor Bram Frank, he is not about knife fighting. And he has said to me personally that fighting skills, yes, they're effective, blah, 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 blah. MMA, Muay Thai, kickboxing, wrestling, boxing, blah, 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 yes. But he said you can always work on that. You could always work on that. But the skills that he was teaching is not knife fighting skills. So they're not for fighting. Right now, I'm talking about fighting. So the context is very important, people. Okay, I am talking about fighting right here. We are fighting. Okay, right? I said in order to survive a surprise attack, you have to turn it into a knife fight. Okay, so we're now in a knife fight, and now we're talking about defang the snake in this knife fight. So that is the context. So in this situation, right? In this situation, this is how to defang the snake. That is what I am explaining to you guys. Okay. So now I need to come back to the knife in the reverse grip or the knife in the standard grip, right? So in a knife fight, and I know people were talking about sparring, right? You guys were talking about in your sparring experience, then flat out, if you've done sparring with the sticks, you train Filipino martial arts, and then now you go to the knife, right? Is standard grip all the way. Makes the most sense. Because that's how you hold the stick. We don't hold the stick in the reverse grip, in the ice pick grip. No. I mean, you can, but no. 99% of the time, we don't. So, yeah, you're going to be using the knife in a standard grip. So if you're in a knife fight, look at fencers. That's what this is. This is fencing with a broken sword, fencing with a short sword or ultra short sword. That's what a knife fight is, right? It's a bladed weapon. So in that situation, standard grip makes total sense. Okay, and what comes from the Filipino martial arts, this is not something that I came up with, is that when you get close to the opponent, the reverse grip makes sense, right? Okay, so in this knife fight, let's say you start off in the standard grip and now you're close. You're in close range. You're in the clinch. At that point, should you be switching to the reverse grip? And my answer is no. Why? Because you're busy. You're busy fighting. You're in combat. You're in the middle of combat. Don't switch grips. You're in the middle of freaking combat. You should be doing combat stuff, not switching grips. Okay, to me, switching grips is done when you have the time to do it. When they're not on you, when you have ample distance, then you do it. Because if not, you're playing the speed game. You got to do it before something bad happens, right? So, yeah, I don't play the speed game, and that allows me, that mentality of saying I'm not going to play the speed game, that allows me to switch grips safely. I know that when I switch grips, I'm not going to be playing the speed game, so it's going to be relatively safe. I could do it at my leisure, so to speak, even though it's within combat, that I'm not going to be as much danger of dropping the knife, which is the biggest threat at that point. So, or being rushed on right when I'm switching grips or something, I won't have that worry because I'm not going to play the speed game. Okay. So I could do it at my pace, slowly and securely. And by slow, I'm not going ultra slow or anything, but I'm just going, step by step, solid. Solid is when I would switch grips. Okay. But if not, I'm not switching grips. If I can't do it like that, and if I don't get the opportunity, then I will not switch grips. Okay. So that's the way that I see it. So if I take out the knife, so it depends on how you're carrying and how your deployment is, because you could rig the knife to where when you take it out, it's going to be in the reverse grip, or when you take it out, it's going to be in the standard grip or some other grip. You could carry it and deploy it that way. That's up to you. And some people may even do it to where if I deploy it this way, it's going to be in standard, and if I deploy it this way, it's going to be in the reverse. So they could actually do both, But I'm saying is, however I deploy the knife, that's how I'm going to use it, period. Okay, so if I take it out in the standard grip, then I expect to use it in the standard grip. If I take it out in the reverse grip, I expect to use it in the reverse grip. If there's a knife on the ground and I grab it and then everything's happening real quick and I grab it in a reverse grip, it's going to be in the reverse grip. I don't care how far away I am, from the person. I plan to use it in the reverse grip at that point. Okay. But then I might look around and go, you know what? He's pretty far away and his buddies aren't nearby. Okay, I have time to switch. Then I might go to the standard grip. Okay, at that point. Once again, not playing the speed game. So, however you take out the knife. Now, the next thing that's important is, if you're a standard grip guy, you're not a reverse grip guy, right? You like the standard grip, reverse grip is awkward for you, then make sure that that's how you're going to deploy the knife every time, that it's going to be in the standard grip. All right. And then the next thing I would say is if you end up in close, make sure that you know how to use your standard grip in close. Okay? It's that simple. And then same with a reverse grip guy. Okay? You are in the reverse grip. You make sure that, every time you draw your weapon, it's going to be in the reverse grip. All right. But then you now have some distance with the opponent, and the opponent might be in the standard grip. So you better be able to fight like that in the reverse grip. Okay. And in that situation, it really helps to know that the reverse grip is going to be at a disadvantage in this situation. And same with the standard grip. It helps to know that the standard grip is at a disadvantage when in close. Okay, it helps just to know. It doesn't have to be. So this is like saying in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? Um, the guard, the guard position. Okay, when you're fighting and you end up in the guard, that you are in a disadvantage. Okay, because you're on the bottom. So if you can view it that way, okay, that gives you a realistic perspective. Now I know some people like to say, well, if you're in the guard, if you have the guard position, right, that it is 50-50, that it's a neutral position, and like they like to say that. No, because in real life you can, your opponent might punch you, they might bite you, they might claw you. So when you include all of that, no, the guard is not a good position. All right, it is not a good position. And then you're on your back on the asphalt, on the concrete, and then his buddies can show up too. It's not a good position, period. All right. So I view the guard. I know sport jiu-jitsu guys might go, no, the guard's a neutral position. Yeah, in sport jiu-jitsu, I'm talking about the street. So in the street, it's a bad position. Okay. That being said, though, with skill, and depending on your opponent and depending on other things, though, you can turn it around where if someone gets in your guard, they're screwed. They're going to get messed up from there. It's going to be armbar city. You're going to triangle choke them unconscious. You're going to take their back, rear naked choke, whatever, right? From the guard, you could demolish people, all right? That's very, very possible. 100%, very possible. There are people that good with the guard, okay? And it's not that uncommon. All you got to do is go to your local Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school and go in their guard, and you're going to go, man, this is a nightmare. It sucks to be in their guard. Yeah, it's not that hard. So you can turn it around. So the same here, right? You have the knife in the standard grip, and now you're in close. You're in the clinch. You can still, even though if the other guy has a knife in the reverse grip and you have a knife in the standard grip and you're both in close range, I mean, obviously you have to be in close range because, there's no way that you could be in close range and they're in long range. unless your reach is like incredible or something, But yeah, if you're in close range, they're going to be in close range. All right, takes two to tango. So anyway, so right there, okay, in that situation, you can turn it around to where even though they have the reverse grip and you guys are in the clinch, they should have the advantage that you can change it around and gain the advantage. Okay, so it is possible with skill. Okay, yes, other factors will come in, but with skill, you can change. Same with the reverse grip, and you're in long range. And I've seen it with my own two eyes. I've seen it. I've seen this FMA guy who was amazing with the reverse grip, and he's just beating people in long range. He was just demolishing people that way. Okay, so you just never know. Okay, so it is possible is what I'm saying, and you are going to have to do that. I need to do that because you limited yourself to one grip, so you definitely need to do that. Now in my case, I need to do that too. Even though I did not limit myself into one grip, I still need to do that because I said once I get that grip, chances are I'm not going to change the grip. So if I start off with standard grip and then now I'm in the clinch, you know what? I'm not going to bother switching grips. I'm just going to use it like that. That's what I would do. So then that means I need to be able to use the standard grip in the clinch. So the bottom line is practice it. Have you done it? Have you practiced that? And then try it in sparring. And then have your partner go in the reverse grip when you're in the clinch, and then go at it like that and see what's up, right? And then same with the other situation. So, for me, I've tried to make myself comfortable regardless of grip. And that's not ignoring, the basics. And the basics to me are the standard grip is more advantageous in long range, and the reverse grip is more advantageous in close range. So to me, that is the basic foundation there. And then, but like I said, from there, if need be, I can try to overcome that. So yeah, and this is the same idea with slashing versus stabbing. I know people make this huge like argument about slashes versus stabs and blah 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 blah. And look, in what the Filipino martial arts has taught me is that the slashes and the stabs integrate. They blend in. Okay, they blend in. And to me, that is what a good fighter should do. This goes the same with like Muay Thai kickboxing. They blend in the punches, the kicks, the elbows, and the knees, and they fight you like an octopus. And it's hard to tell what the hell is coming. What's coming? So a lot of these attacks are coming on the same angle. If you look at Bill Superfoot Wallace, his system, he tries to keep his kicks on the same angle, same trajectory. That way the opponent can't tell, what is it going to be, a hook kick? Is it going to be a side kick? Is it going to be a roundhouse kick? They don't know. They don't know until the last second when it's too late, when the foot's already hit him in the face. So this is the same kind of idea. We learn the angles of attack, and we're following the angles of attack, but you don't know if it's going to be a slash or a stab. I don't know if it's going to be a slash or a stab. I don't care. I don't really care. It's whatever I can get. So that makes me a lot more fluid, a lot more dynamic. And, that's not just me. That just came, that was a natural progression in my Filipino martial arts training. So, yeah, my techniques are coming out and I'm doing it. And I don't care if you're wearing armor or not. I'm not always wearing armor. This slash not going to work. So I got to, you don't have time to process that. I mean, you might have that time, but you may not have that time, right? You may. I guess a lot of people are really, really focused on the target that they're attacking. So when that becomes everything, then when you're attacking the target, then the slash or the stab to the target becomes super important, because it's like, what are you trying to do? Well, I'm trying to hit this target. Okay, how? How are we going to do that? So then it becomes very, very important to define it like that, right? In my case, I'm not doing that because in Filipino martial arts, the target was never really incredibly important to me. Because check this out, right? I remember back in the day, 1990, when I was learning this from my first instructor, my first FMA instructor. I remember he taught me the 12 angles of attack, this is the textbook form in modern Arnis, right? The 12 angles of attack. So I remember it started off with like temple, temple, shoulder, shoulder, and then number 5 is stab to the midsection. And I remember asking him like, where in the midsection? And he's like, the midsection. And I'm like, what, the belly or the throat or the center line? Is that what you mean? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, all of that? And he goes, yes, all of it. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, wow, that's not specific at all. It's not what I expect. A lot of other styles like, karate or kung fu or even KMA, Korean martial arts, they're pretty specific about where you're hitting, the target and how you're going to hit. Not in Filipino martial arts, no. And I remember when I was learning this stuff, angles 1 through 4, which is temple, temple, shoulder, shoulder. I was like, it's not that different. And I remember talking to my instructor, I was like, so temple, shoulder, really? The shoulder? You really need to put that in. And now that I'm thinking about it, or I remember thinking about this back in the day, was the shoulder means, hey, you can hit the arm. But I guess so many people hit the hands, and you do stick training, the fingers get hit all the time. So the next thing that gets hit is the hands. So we already know that the arm gets hit, but the shoulder we kind of tend to forget. So then to me, saying, hey, hit the shoulder for 3 and 4, I thought that was kind of brilliant that they included that. They're like, yeah, a lot of people know you could defang the snake, which means hit the hand. A lot of people do that. No, when we say hit the hand, we mean the arm, shoulder included. A lot of people forget the shoulder. Brilliant to me. Brilliant stuff. But I remember asking him, and I asked my instructor, what's up with that? And I think that is when he said, I know for certain this is what he said. He said, anywhere hurts. You could hit anywhere. He's like, look, and he started tapping me with a stick all over my body. And I was like, ow, 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 okay, I get it. And he was like, you see, everywhere. And I'm like, okay, then what's the point? Why did we just learn this form then? What's the point? And then he did tell me this. Okay, now I do remember. He did say, with blade, you want soft areas. With an impact weapon, you want hard areas. Okay, yeah. So I do now it's vague, but I do remember now, yeah, he did say that. Okay. And if he didn't, I know later on other Filipino martial arts instructors have told me this, so I've picked it up along the way. But yeah, I do remember the first guy said this to me too. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here, okay, is that in my Filipino martial arts training, the target practice, especially compared to something like fencing, we really don't focus that much on the targeting. Okay, yeah, you want to be accurate, but compared to like what I've seen some of the training that the fencers do, where they're trying to be accurate and they're trying to hit that target every time, the same spot. Where you look at Muay Thai kickboxers trying to hit the same spot on the leg. Boss Rutan mentioned this. If you're gonna hurt someone with a leg kick, you want to make sure you hit the same spot over and over again. That kind of thing. You want to be accurate, right? Filipino martial arts, the training that I've undergone, yes, you want to be accurate, but not as much as those styles in comparison. is all I'm saying. In comparison, we just didn't. The way that I learned it, the Filipino martial arts, was, and this is multiple schools, okay? Um, at one point, at some point in my training, I understood that the angles of attack is a map. It is a road map. And so imagine this infrared, like Predator technology, Predator, the Arnold movie. So that kind of the infrared technology where it's this red outline of this 3D map, right? That's the angles of attack. You just imagine these swirly and straight lines just all over the place. Okay, and now you just put that onto the person. And you could put it towards their head, towards their, bust area, which is the head and the like collarbone, upper chest area, all of that included. Or you could go more lower, abdomen. You could go into bladder, groin area. We could go lower into legs. You could go into arm area. So you could shift this map and just place it onto people, or maybe multiple people, and that's how it works. Is the way that I saw it. It's very versatile. It's just this red line outline of these lines that I'm seeing, and I just put it onto somebody, and I just do my lines. I just follow the lines, and that's how it goes, and hopefully I hit something. So people have a very target specific idea of training, where they're thinking, I need to hit this way. So Filipino martial arts that I went through it's that map, the red lines that I'm talking about. If you've seen the film Exposure, also called Arte Grande, in that film they use lipstick on the mirror to draw the angles of attack, and then the practitioner just follows those lines over and over and over and over again. So that map, that to me was more important than so much the target areas. So what I'm trying to say is, when you have this map, what am I trying to do now? And you're trying to follow those lines and make the cuts or slashes or stabs or whatever, right? Okay. But then later on, you'll go into like lock flow type of stuff. So that becomes integrated. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to manipulate the human body in front of me. That to me, that's really what martial arts skills are. You're manipulating the human body that's in front of you. Well, also yourself too. You're trying to manipulate your own human body, and you're trying to manipulate the other person. So it's just a manipulation of the human body. That's what martial arts is. That's the skill, is understanding that and understanding how to do that. And so that's what I'm trying to do. It's the target, and landing this. And I don't care. If I can manipulate the body well, the rest will present itself. Is the way that I see it. So if I could protect myself and manipulate, control them, is part of protecting myself. So if I'm doing that well, then yeah, the targets will come. So in a way, this is the exact same idea as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and why wrestling is so dominant in the world of MMA. Because in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they say position over submissions. And wrestling is about controlling your opponent. So, if you could control your opponent well, you control the distance, you control the opponent, whether it's through takedowns like wrestlers do, or through, controlling them by, grit, like wrestlers do. They just grab a hold of you and they gut wrenching you and all this stuff, just grit, If you can do that, opportunities for eye gouging or attacking the groin or the throat or the neck or submissions or any of that. To me, all of that will present itself. So I'm not too worried about that. But if you don't have good control, then you kind of have to do more like a Hail Mary and hopefully it hits the target kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I feel like if you understand the language of martial arts, then it's about this control that I'm talking about, this manipulation that I am talking about. So that's what this is about to me. If not, yeah, you have to do. And I remember this back in the day in high school after we saw the UFC, my buddies and I, and I remember one time we all, watched the UFC and got excited. And I don't know if like we were going to go see a movie. So it was like a Friday night, Saturday night or something. We were, me and my buddies were supposed to go to the movie theater and it got canceled. Or maybe we were waiting for the movie. I don't know. But anyway, like 10 of us showed up at this one guy's house. And I guess his parents weren't there. So the living room was like wide open. And we moved the table. And it was a carpeted living room floor, and it was kind of one of those where it steps down because there's like a fireplace, so it's almost like a pit. and we all decided to just grapple, like take turns, but we all grappled each other, right? And I think the way they wanted it was King of the Hill, because a lot of these guys were also like basketball fans, and back then this is when Michael Jordan was hot, so of course, there were a lot of basketball fans. But anyway, so we're all grappling each other, right? And I was the king of the hill. Like I was the undefeated dude there. And we really didn't know what we were doing. None of us. None of us had really the skill set or we couldn't speak the language. We barely had a few words. I had a few words more compared to the other guys. And by few words more, I mean maybe like one or two moves more. And out of like 3 moves. So this is really when the world was still in the dark ages when it came to grappling, unless you were a grappler, unless you were a judo guy or something like that, But then those guys, judo guys or wrestlers or whatever, you guys had no idea how you were going to do against a stand-up striker. Even if you had trained in boxing, you were probably wondering, what would happen if I fought a boxer, and try to use my wrestling? You didn't know, and you couldn't test it because people just didn't do that. Wrestlers only train with wrestlers. Boxers only train with boxers. And when you go to a boxing gym, you didn't go in as a wrestler. You went in as a boxer, So, yeah, this was grappling was, it was in the dark ages. And at that point, I had to do exactly what I was telling you guys earlier, which is I didn't speak the language of grappling. I didn't have enough skills. So my martial arts level for grappling at that time was close to non-existent. So all I could do was do a move that I've seen in like Black Belt magazine, which was a rear naked choke. And I remember it going, okay, that's how you do it. Yeah, I could do a rear naked choke. I know how my arm is supposed to go. But I didn't know like the details about, attacking the carotid artery, the angle of where your elbow needs to be under the chin. And, none of that. None of that. I just knew how the arm was supposed to go. Like my left hand would be on my right bicep, and then my right hand would be behind their head. That's all. That's really the only detail that I had. Nothing about, how to squeeze properly, how to use leverage, attack from 3 sides. None of that. None of that, right? So, and of course the grip fighting and, putting in your hooks and nothing. Just maybe the hook's a little bit just from watching Hoist do it, Hoist Gracie do it, but really nothing. And so I would go for that choke. It's just a Hail Mary. Go for that choke. Hopefully I get it right. And everybody tapped, and when I look back on it, I wasn't even doing the choke right. So, from today's standards, it was done very, very poorly, just because, we just didn't know. But that's the only way you're going to have an advantage, is if your opponent knows less than you, because you're at that level where you barely have a vocabulary and you don't know the language yet. So what I'm saying to you guys is, once you know the language and you can speak it, then to me, it should be about manipulation. And so you start to shift more towards the manipulation than the target. And once you start doing that, then it's like, what are you trying to do here? Am I trying to puncture their artery and stop them from living and have them bleed out? Is that what I'm trying to do? No. Now that I can, when you go to the perspective where you could speak the language, if you only have a target perspective, yeah, you're going, well, am I slashing his throat and so that he can't breathe, or so that'll fill up with blood, and he starts gurgling. I know this is graphic, I apologize, or are you trying to get him to bleed out? How many seconds is this going to take until we actually see an effect? Or am I trying to cut muscles and tendons? Or am I just trying to cut anything? What am I trying to do? Am I going to puncture between the rib cage into the lungs? What are you trying to do? Target-wise, that's all you got. Okay, but if you go by manipulation-wise, then am I trying to manipulate the distance here so that I can get away and survive? Or am I trying to manipulate his body so that he cannot use the knife on me? It's then, in that case, I'm not even thinking about attacking the guy, And like I said, opportunity will present itself, whether it's to run away or whether it's for me to actually attack the person or whatever. Trust in that opportunity will reveal itself. But in order for that to happen, you have to have the skill to be able to be looking. You have to be able to be observant. If you're not one of those people and you're just going to be like freaked out the whole time, then you're probably better off just trying to impose your will onto the situation, whether it's right or wrong, whether it fits or not. That's all you got. You're a Cyclops. You can only see one thing and go for one thing, and you're a pit bull, and that's it. And hopefully that works for you, hopefully. But that to me is a crude way of doing things, and unless you have huge advantages, like you're 6'4", 220 jacked or something, it probably won't work for you. So that's not a good method at all. And I've seen people like that are like that, and for most of the population, it works for them because they are physically, gifted. They're just built like a tiger, and so they're able to dominate most of the population. But there might be that one occasion when you really need this stuff and you cannot dominate your opponent because they're also a tiger. And at that point, what are you going to do? Right? And I've seen these really strong tigers crumble in that kind of situation. So then that tells me, oh, wow, you were nothing but a bully. You were just a bully then. Yeah. So, if you are very strong like that, then you want to make sure that, when you go up against someone that's also very strong like you, to me, that is where it gets interesting. So you should in my opinion, that's what you should be concerned about, not about crushing people that are not as strong as you, or physically not at your level. You know what I mean? To me, martial arts was always about the weaker being able to defeat the stronger. When I play chess, I'm not excited about beating someone at my level or beating someone that's not as good as I am. I'm excited when I beat someone that's better than me. And to me, martial arts is the same. So that's why, what was it? I saw a video a while back, about someone saying, you look at your opponent and then you measure them. And if they're weaker than you, then go for it. And if they're stronger than you, then no, or something like. And I was like, wow, that's kind of like a coward's way, you know. And I really didn't like that. Oh, that's right. I remember this guy was like the modern day Captain Fairbairn. Yeah, yeah. And to me, that's honestly kind of an insult to Captain Fairbairn. But the only reason why I say that is this guy, he's a police and military involved, and he is teaching police, military, and civilians his tactical system. So in that sense, it's very similar to Captain Fairbairn. So just in that regards, I'm saying he's like Captain Fairbairn, the modern day Captain Fairbairn. But yeah, just that. I'm not saying character or accomplishments. No, none of those things. You know, although this guy's accomplishments are, if they're true, which I think they are, but way amazing. I'm jealous, like I said before, I am jealous. But it's just, yeah, his methodology, the way he thinks and stuff, I don't care for at all. I think he's a show off. He's not a fake, obviously, but I think what he's teaching is I just don't think it's good. There's a lot of holes, and a lot of it is ego. A lot of it is him just showing off and feeling pretty damn good about himself, which you need to take that out of the equation if you want your stuff to really work. You know, if you want your stuff to really help other people, and I sincerely want my stuff to work and help other people. So there's only one way for that to happen, is you have to put your ego aside. You have to stop feeling good about yourself, you know, and just work. Put in the work and stop justifying, stop protecting your ego and your ideas, you know. Just lay it out there and look at it as objectively as you can. And it's very hard to do that, especially like that person's world famous. No, sorry, he's not world famous. He's only famous in his country. Let me just say that. So yeah, but even then, that's pretty big fame. So it's yeah, I get it. It's difficult. It's difficult for him to tame his ego once he's blown up that much. But yeah, so that's why you got to be careful, and that's why I'm very blessed in that sense that I am underground. B1 Escrima, basement level 1, underground. So anyway, if you have been listening, I wanted to do this like podcast style today. If you have been listening all the way through, thank you so much. And I hope it has given you some cool ideas or helped you out in some way, shape, or form. So that's it for now. Thank you guys for listening, and take care, folks. Wmpyr, over and out.